Good morning, Shabbat Shalom. Lesson number 10. How fast it goes. Remember, do not forget. Good advice. And here is the words that Moses spoke to the people. Let's read them. He says, remember, do not forget how you provoked the Lord your God to wrath in the wilderness, from the day that you departed from the land of Egypt until you came to this place. You have been rebellious against the Lord. And how true that was. How true that was. Something we should know. To remember is not to forget. And of course, the other way around, to forget is not to remember. God often tells his people to remember all the things that he has done for them. To remember his grace for them and his goodness towards them. And the same is true for us today. We must make the effort. We must stand still and remember the wonderful things that God has done for us. What he has done for us by way of provisions and how he has led us in the past. We're very blessed as a people. To remember what God has done is important. God also asked Noah to remember using the rainbow as a token of remembrance. Not that God would forget, but it's interesting, that in chapter 9 of the book of Genesis, we have the introduction of a phenomenon called the rainbow, which did not exist in the antediluvian world. And I would like to dwell on that, but that's would take me away from too much time. It was a remembering. Now the Hebrew word for remember, sachar, also means to act upon. When it says to remember the Sabbath day, that in the 16th chapter of the book of Genesis, or in fact Genesis chapter 20, the Sabbath day already being in existence, as the 16th chapter points out, it means to act upon it. Very important principle. Very important connotation. And so, concerning the days that are past, Deuteronomy says this: Moses points the people back through all history, even to the creation itself, and asks them, rhetorically of course, if anything in all history had ever been done to any of the other people as it was done for them. Central to this act was the deliverance for Egypt. Incredible story. Perhaps in some ways even more astonishing, he's speaking to them at Mount Sinai. Imagine hearing the God audibly, his voice right there in front of you, that mountain that was engulfed in flames, the mountain that was shaking as were the people. What a display of power. His words out of the midst of the fire. And the voice of Moses says, take heed, lest you forget. What the Lord is saying to them, take heed so that you don't forget. And we have to teach, they had to teach their children as we should, the grandchildren. Very important. How can we forget about God? Well, we forget about God, I like this expression, eaten and full. You find it in Deuteronomy chapter 8. Then you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gained me these wealth. That is a very common human problem, even particularly today. The materialistic world that we live in, thinking that we have collected all these wealth, and we pat ourselves on the back, and we forget to thank God who gave us the health, the opportunity, and entrusted the means to us. For which we have to give an account. So to this day, thousands of years later, practicing Jews keep the Passover, the celebration, a memorial to what God had done for them by leading them out of slavery. And we as a people today should do the same. How God has led us out of the symbolic house of slavery, away from sin. How we have been capacitated to say no to sin, to walk in his statutes. Whether Jew in the wilderness, Christian in Ephesus, or Seventh-day Adventist, anywhere in the world. How crucial is it for us always to remember and not to forget what God has done for us in Christ. In Christ. She counsels, Ellen G. White counsels us to spend an hour in thoughtful thought each day, contemplating the life of Christ. Not many of us would do that, would we? But we should. She says, take it point by point. And as we dwell upon this, as we dwell upon the great sacrifice for us, our confidence in Him will be strengthened. It will grow. We should do this. And it'll be more, our confidence in Him will be more constant. The trust that we hold in Him now will be strengthened day by day if we did that. The book of Deuteronomy points us to, you might say, an obligation to remember God for all the good things that He has done. You know what? You'll be richly blessed if you do.